Everybody ready? They played great. We didn't play very well. It was a similar performance, I think, to when we came in here last year. I thought the beginning of the game really obviously was the difference. They completely dominated it. We had no answer. We had no answer for anybody for a long time, and I think you got to give them credit. They played great. Certainly, they seem to be playing better and better. We're still young. I think we were shell-shocked early on, but at least we hung in there. We hung in there and we played, and we got better in the second half.
We'll take questions for Kevin Currier first and get him off the stage. Any questions for Kevin Currier, please? Going once.
Can you just talk about that start and what it took for you guys to settle down after they went on that 20-0 run?
I said, yeah, we settled down just a little bit. Of course, it wasn't enough to get back in the game, but I think just taking a deep breath, because at the beginning their pressure was a little bit too much for us, and they definitely sped us up. So we just had to talk ourselves out of it.
As you were scouting them and assessing them, where did Willis fit into that, and did you gain a different impression of him tonight?
No, we knew coming into the game that he was a shooter, and we did a poor job of executing on defense.
Kevin, Coach called a couple of timeouts there early. What message was he trying to get across to you guys?
Just to relax and keep us from, getting ourselves in an even deeper hole. Trying to keep us composed and just to not, get rattled.
Last questions for Kevin Currier. Thank you, Kevin. Any questions for Coach Anderson now, please?
John Calipari has these last few games talked about trying to let Skal play the way that makes the most sense for him, let him shoot jump shots, and hopefully he'll block some shots. When he does those things, how does he change them going forward?
Well, he's, that makes a huge difference. That's another weapon that they have. He played really well tonight. He talked about Willis. Mentioned Willis's jump shots, and we knew that. We practiced that going in. I think our guys got sped up. We talked about that, and but Skal certainly was a factor, and obviously he's one of the best players in the country. And unfortunately for us, he kind of started to really find himself tonight.
Kim, how efficient do you think Kentucky was in terms of coming down court and getting points?
Well, I thought they were very efficient, and part of that was we were inefficient, but part of that, I thought they really executed well. I thought they did a great job. Obviously, I just think Ulis just controls the game. He just controls it. Anyway, he just takes over the game, not just scoring, but playmaking. And tonight he made shots, which he makes them anyway. But I just think he just controls a basketball game. He's a major weapon. I think.
Kim, could you talk a little bit more about? Kim, the other day on the teleconference, you talked.
I forget my name too.
Okay. Well, that's old age here. So, but
we're probably about the same age.
Probably. you talked about you could see.
You got more facial hair than I
for today. You talked about that you could see Kentucky kind of defining roles and accepting roles. How much does the way Willis has played, from what you've seen, factor into that?
Well, we watched a lot of tape, obviously, on him. And, you go back, we watched play UCLA and some other games, and I just, I just think that, and I don't know if this has happened in the last 3 games, it seems to me it has, that kind of understand what their strengths are. Now, we did do a good job on Willis, but you know, we finally started switching stuff and making it a little bit more difficult on him. But you know, when you got a guy that size and can pop like that and shoot it, that creates problems for you. So yeah, I think he's definitely going to be a big factor.
Coach, when these losses seem to keep adding up, is it difficult to keep your guys mentally into it? And how do you guys approach the rest of the year from here on out?
Well, you know, we just kind of go one game at a time. I mean, yeah, obviously this is a disappointing performance not because we got beat by 34 points or whatever it ended up being. It's, you know, for me, it's just disappointing that we didn't start off better and we didn't. And I don't want to say we didn't compete. I just think we got run over by a truck, you know, early in the game, and it took us a while to get back up. And but I think, you know, you got to give them credit. They played well, and we didn't. And you know, our youth shows sometimes, and when it does, then we get to going off like we're going to score 16 points in one possession, and you know, that's all you need or not. I mean, but this game was from the start, I thought they played with an incredible amount of energy. It reminded me a lot of last year's game, I'll be honest with you, when we came in here. You know, I just thought that for whatever reason, they were really, really energized.
Coach, did it, I mean, you kind of just touched on it there. Did it feel a little bit like deja vu from last year? And what are you saying to the guys in those first 2 timeouts in the first 5 minutes?
Well, you know, it felt, yeah, I mean, it felt like last year, just from the standpoint of the energy that they brought. Well, I called timeouts to try to get them to settle down a little bit, you know. If it were just you and me talking, I'd probably use some different words. But I think that you know, you got young guys, and I know I use that term a lot, but they've never been in an environment like this, and they certainly showed that they've never been in an environment like this. So, you know, as the game wore on, we started talking about, hey, let's learn from this. Let's try to get better. Let's try to win this 4 minutes. Let's try to do this. Let's try to do that. Let's create a game within a game. You know, I thought we finally started, but you know, obviously it was too late.
Tim, how much better is Kentucky when they're hitting threes? And did you guys come into it thinking zone and maybe that?
Well, we were going to play. We felt like playing. We were going to play more zone. But their zone offense is really hard for our guys to cover in a short period of time. You know, we had a couple of days to prepare. You know, you look at it statistically and you say, well, where's their weak spot? And obviously Murray's a great shooter. You know, tonight, and in Willis, I think Willis was an X factor tonight. He really shot the ball well. But when they're playing like they played tonight, I mean, they're really good. They're really good. I'm not going to make any predictions, but certainly they have really, really improved, or maybe got more defined in the past few weeks.
Last question for Coach Anderson, please.
Thank you all.